Hello guys and gals, and this is part 8 of the Fables of Leonardo da Vinci. In the last one, we read, the cranes. It was about the cranes, the elephant, the chestnut, the fig tree, and I believe the tree and the pole. We are ready to read the ibis. And if you're in Australia, you probably call them bin chickens. That's usually about the name of the ibis in Australia anyways. This is where we're going to start. But as always, we will read, these are fables by the famed Leonardo da Vinci. These were all interpreted by and transcribed by Bruno Nardini. There was an introduction by Margaret Meeks, which we read in a previous episode. And it's illustrated by Adriana Savizzi Mazza. Sorry if I butchered those names. I'm not good with Italian. And it looks like this was published in Northbrook, Illinois. I'm just noticing that. That's kind of cool. That's the copyright information. Anyways, we are going to read about the ibis. Okay, first of all, it's from Legend Ibis H2026V. Okay, now on the very last page, we can solve these. We're going to solve these. H is the Humboldt code, I believe. Here we are. Humboldt code located in the Institut de France, Paris, France. And it's on page 26 on the reverse side. So, that's that. And now we are going to read about the ibis. A rascally young ibis, once he had learned to run and fly, never stopped. He was constantly in search of food and ate everything he found. But one morning the young ibis stayed in the nest. He had a temperature and a terrible stomach ache. His mother was frightened and ran to him immediately. Looking at him, felt him with her beak and claws and said, "I see you have eaten something you should not have, because you are so greedy, and now it has made you ill." With these words, the mother ibis flew to the pond and filled her crop with water. Returning to the nest, she gave him some of the water to relieve his discomfort. And this is basically a blatant way of to say, don't be greedy. Or that's my take on it. We are ready for page 52, which is the flames. This says that this is reproduction of the script of the manuscript. Section of the manuscript containing the fable La Flamme, which is kind of cool. And this is from Fable ATL 67VB. ATL is Atlantic code, I believe. We're going to look up these codes. Okay, it says Atlantic code located in Biblioteca Ambrosiana, Milan, Italy. So that's where the story is from. On the facing page, on page 67. Okay, it says, for more than a month, the flames had glowed in the glass blower's furnace, where bottles and glass were made. One day they saw a candle supported on a fine, shining candlestick, coming towards them. At once, with passionate longing, they strove to approach the sweet little candle. One in particular left from the ember that fed it, turning its back on the furnace and slipping through a little crack, flung itself upon the candle, devouring it greedily. But the eager flame soon consumed the poor candle, and not wishing to die with it, tried to return to the furnace from whence it had escaped. But it could not detach itself from the soft wax, and it called in vain for help from the other flames. The rebel flame turned into suffocating smoke, leaving all its brothers resplendent, looking forward to a long and glittering life. This another one is about maintaining passions and keeping them in check, and moderation, I would say. Okay, here is the razor. This is a fable called The Razor. I had it figured out. Oh yeah, we were gonna read at least two more of these. The Razor. This is from Atlantic Code, so that's the one that's in Milan, Italy, on 175 on the reverse side from the fable. Okay, this is about the razor. We're gonna look at this line for now, though. Once upon a time, there was a fine razor in a barber's shop. One day, when there was no one in the shop, it decided to have a look around. It slipped its blade out of the handle and went outside to enjoy the beautiful spring day. When the razor saw the sun reflecting from itself, it was surprised and enraptured. The steel blade threw out such dazzling beams that suddenly, in an excess of pride, the razor said to itself, "And must I go back into the shop from whence I have only just escaped? Certainly not. The gods cannot wish that such beauty as mine should be thus defiled. It would be madness to stay there and cut these yokels' soapy beards, repeatedly the same mechanical operations forever and ever. Is this fine body of mine really made for such work? Indeed, no. So I am going to hide myself in some secret place and spend the rest of my days in peace." So saying, the razor sought a hiding place where no one could see it. Months passed. One day the razor felt it would like a little air, so it crept cautiously out of its refuge and looked at itself. Alas, what had happened? The blade had grown ugly, had grown rusty, like a rusty saw. The blade had grown ugly, like a rusty saw, and no longer reflected the sunlight. The razor was sorry for what it had done, and bitterly mourned its irreparable loss, saying, "Oh, how much better I should have done to keep my beautiful sharp blade in trim by cutting soapy beards. My surface would still have been shining and my edge fine, and now here I am eaten away and encrusted with hideous rust, and there is nothing to be done." The razor's sad end is one that comes to clever people who prefer laziness to the use of their talents. They too, like the razor, lose the sparkle and the sharp edge of their intellect, and are soon eaten away by the rust of ignorance. So that basically goes through that. Okay, now we'll read The Lion. That's Humboldt. The Humboldt code is Paris, France. Page 18. So yeah. The cubs had not yet opened their eyes. They had lain for 3 days between the mother lioness's paws, moving only to grope for milk, hearing and seeing nothing. A little apart, the lion proudly watched them. Suddenly he stood up and, shaking his beautiful mane, gave vent to a roar like thunder. The cubs at once opened their eyes, while all the wild animals of the jungle fled in terror. As the lion wakens his children with a loud cry, so praise awakens the sleeping virtue of our sons. It encourages them to study and to strive for honor, and puts to flight everything that was unworthy of them. That was The Lion. And we are going to end with The Pelican. We'll be reading 5 this time, and we still have quite a few to go. But that will finish off this thing. There's another Humboldt code from the legend Pelicano, 13 on the reverse side. Okay, that was Paris, France. Okay, and we're going to do this. When the pelican went in search of food, a snake hidden among the branches began to move towards the nest. The babies were sleeping peacefully. The snake approached, and with a wicked gleam in his eye, began the kill. A poisonous bite to each, and the poor little creatures passed directly from sleep to death. Satisfied, the snake returned to his hiding place to gloat over the pelican's return, and in fact the bird came back shortly after. At the sight of such carnage she began to weep, and her lament was so despairing that all the inhabitants of the forest heard it and grieved. "What meaning has my life without you?" said the poor bird, gazing on her dead children. "I want to die with you." And she began to peck with her beak at her breast, just over the heart. The blood gushed out of the wound and poured over the baby birds killed by the snake. But all at once the dying pelican gave a start. Her warm blood had restored life to her children. Her love had revived them, and then, happy at last, she herself died. It's really a tragic story. It is indeed, and that is really a wicked-looking snake. The art in this book is just amazing. But that will do it for this one. Let me see, what page was this? I think, yeah. In the next one, we will read The Ant and the Grain of Wheat, is that steam or stream? The stream, okay. The bramble, the wolf, and maybe the net. I'm not sure. The net, I think, is kind of a long story. But we'll figure that out. This has been The Fables of Leonardo da Vinci. And so, yeah, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you like this, then make sure that you hit the like button, that you subscribe, and that you ring the bell so you can know when I upload. Anything you need to know will be in the description below. And as always, I really appreciate the support. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and have a great day.